Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our program. Please welcome to the stage, Carrie Mays.
Hello and good evening. Truly, I hope you're having a good time so far and you're enjoying your meal. And I'm going to use my help here. Okay. My name is Carrie Mays. I am a substance abuse counselor at Didi Hirsch. I work with clients in Project 50. Thank you. A program that was created to help people, 50 people, matter of fact, on Skid Row, most likely to die within a year. The man you see on the screen was one of those individuals, the first of 50. In fact, his name is Kenneth Edward Givens. As you can see, he was not in a good shape, and when he was invited to Project 50 as well, like many people who have lived on the streets, he had fallen so low and felt so degraded that a situation that he was in, he had hard times trusting his counselors. He couldn't even imagine why would anyone care enough to help. Mr. Givens started drinking when he was in junior high, but after high school, that's when the problems started. He would have these extreme highs and lows and hearing voices and drinking, which made him feel much better. He became a blackout drinker. Sometimes he would wake up in jail not remembering how he got there. You know, the things that people think about that are so bad when you think about, oh my God, did I kill somebody? Or being relieved to find out that you were just drunk in public. Drinking cost him everything. It cost him his job, his family, his car, and almost his life. He was living in a cheap hotel when money ran out and ended up on the streets, sleeping in bags, tents. Also, it stated here he was sleeping for homeless for 21 years. He was beaten, shot, robbed. He learned to sleep with one eye open, which made him develop a sleeping disorder. Project 50 came into his life and gave him a place to stay. He got into a detox program, and for the first couple of times, he couldn't even handle the shakings. He couldn't even deal with all of the heartache and pain that he had to suffer from. So he left. But eventually, he was able to stick it out, talking to his counselors, getting treatment for his mood disorders, which really helped him. It gives me great pleasure, and it's an honor to introduce to some and present to others Mr. Kenneth Edward Givens.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. This is a great ballroom. I love it. Yes. Thank you, Miss Carrie. I am so humble for this experience. I'm thankful to be alive. You know, I just want to say that, you know, if it wasn't for the Didi Hirsch Foundation and Project 50, I would not be standing here talking to you today. You know, today, I am now 9 years clean and sober. You know, it's been a real rocky road in my life. I've had lots of challenges, and as you heard, I've encountered a lot of things on the street. You know, like she said, I've been beaten, robbed, stabbed, shot, among other things. But, it's not a hard life. It's a hard life living on the streets. It's not easy. It's a very hard life to live on the streets. But like I said, through the Didi Hirsch program and Project 50, I'm able to be a better person today. I'm the person that I want to be today. I'm so grateful I'm so thankful. I have much gratitude, for my counselors, also Miss Annette, Miss Annette, and Miss Carrie. They are, they really had a lot of patience with me. I was a piece of work. I was a piece of work. They just stuck by me and just took a lot of my stuff that was going on with me. I didn't think anybody would have the patience to even deal with me, because I was to the point where, I really didn't want to live. I didn't want to live. I didn't, I just gave up. Like I said, I lost everything. I lost my family. I lost my job, my car. I was to the end of my rope. And things were just really looking bad for me. But, through the Didi Hirsch program and Project 50, I just can't express enough. They gave me back my life. They gave me back my self-dignity, my respect for people, my respect to myself. And I have so much gratitude. I have so much gratitude for the Didi Hirsch Foundation, Project 50. If it wasn't for that, I would actually be dead today. I would actually be dead today. I would not be standing here talking to you today. But I just, through this program, I just want to say that I was able to attend a meeting. I was able to go to the White House. I was able to go to the White House. I had a personal invitation to the White House. And, that's like, how many people you know? How many people you know, can say that? You know what I'm saying? So, hey, for me, that was a mind blower. So, I really, I thank God, most of all. I thank God, because without his grace and mercy, like I said, I would not be living today. And I just want to thank the Didi Hirsch Foundation, and most of all, I want to thank you people, because without your support for this program, you wouldn't be able to help guys like me, like the guy in that picture. You know what I'm saying? So, I just want to say thank you.
That was such an amazing story. Thank you for sharing it with us, Kenneth. Changing the tone a little, I just want to share something. I know a thing or two about great female comedians. And I am always, thank you. And I am always delighted to share the stage with one, and especially tonight when I don't have to drive her home afterwards and watch her pull the 60 dinner rolls she stole out of her purse. They'll be good tomorrow. It is now my pleasure to bring up a comedian who has performed on Carson, Letterman, Leno, Fallon, Kimmel, Ferguson, Hollywood Squares, and on and on and on. All the important comedy venues, including, ready for this one, the White House Press Room. Plus, she's had specials on HBO, Comedy Central, and Showtime. Wendy hosted these awards 2 years ago and is back tonight to help us make this part of our program simple, painless, and rewarding. Please welcome taller on TV comedian Wendy Liebman.
Oh my God, I am plotting. That was Melissa Rivers. Can we hear it for her? I hosted 2 years ago, and it was the best show of my life, actually, and I got to meet so many of you amazing people. And Dear Abby, where is she now? Is Dear Abby here? She's right here, right? There she is, dear Abby. So since 2 years ago, I lost 2 pounds, mostly bone loss, I don't care. And I celebrated 14 years of marriage with my husband, and we started sexting each other. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's when you send a picture to your person and to turn them on. Like, I will send my husband a picture of me returning clothes, and he will send me a picture of him emptying the dishwasher, and speaking of clothes, I can't believe Melissa Rivers she hosted that show Fashion Police, and I was on the show What Not to Wear. So, do you remember that show? I never know what to wear. I got an obscene phone call. The guy was like, "What are you wearing? What are you wearing?" And I was like, "I can't decide." Hello? But I always wear black. And my mom, yes, a lot of us wear black, right? My mom, I love my mom. We're very close, genetically, and I got my sense of humor from my mother, and that's why she doesn't have one anymore. But we had family game night. I don't know if you family game night. We just played head games, but that, and we had a swear jar in our kitchen. Every time we swore, we had to put money in the jar. And then at the end of the year, we took the money and we went to the fucking Bahamas. So my mom asked me recently why I always dress like a mime. And I was like, so you gorgeous, brilliant people who came to the show tonight and this beautiful celebration, before I do what I'm supposed to do up here, which is raise $75,000, I know. Before I do that, you're laughing, but that's what they asked me to do. I have to tell you that the more generous I am, the more comes back to me. It's something like cash karma or something. Like, for an example, I found money today. Isn't that fun? When you find money, it was $20. It was just sitting there in the tip jar at Starbucks, and I need a tip jar here. What can I use? I don't know if that's, here's a little tip jar. So if you feel like putting $75,000 in there. I think this would be more appealing. I'm here to make the appeal. If I brought Melissa back, would you do it with me? Yes, she's gonna come back.
Sure. I don't think this is on. Oh, it is on. Jeez. Like,
hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Oh.
It's so nice being with someone that I'm taller than. I can't begin to tell you.
You're wearing heels.
But
I'm not wearing heels.
Even so.
We're little.
We're little people.
Yeah.
But we're gonna raise a lot of money. So we have the tip jar.
Yes.
This is a good idea.
I know. I have a feeling, I'm not psychic or anything, but I think we're gonna raise $1 million tonight.
This has room for one really big check. Maybe 2.
So, Didi Hirsch has been transforming the lives of people like Kenneth for 75 years.
So we're gonna do the honor their work tonight by raising. Let's try for 75,000. So there's a barometer.
A thermometer. It's right
here.
here. So there's a thermometer there, and that will tell us how much we've raised so far. Wow, that's amazing. And we're gonna walk you through this because it's gonna be on your iPhone. But if you don't wanna do it on your iPhone, there are gonna be people walking around and they'll take your donation. Like right here,
Like
this
if you
woman.
just wanna go old school, just put up a hand. You don't have to get out the phone and try and figure the whole thing out.
Yeah, I'm still on AOL, so I have no idea this technology.
Okay, so let's get started.
Yes.
Let's get this all started. I want everyone to take out their phones and if you can, register with GiveSmart. Please raise your hand if you're not going to do that. Now go to your texting app and type 24700 in the recipient line.
Like instead of sending it to somebody, write 24700. And now go into the part where you write a message, and instead of a message, type the word Didi and press send. You'll get a reply, and if you've never done this before, you'll be asked to type in your full name.
Now, when you're ready to make a pledge, all you have to do is type give and the amount and hit send. Now, it doesn't matter if you do it in lowercase or all caps, or you leave a space between the word and the amount. Just no dollar sign.
No dollar sign. Look, we're already raising money. This is incredible. You guys are amazing.
I didn't know we had the crawl of shame. Like, if you don't see your name here, everyone's going to know that you didn't donate.
But don't worry, your name is not going to be put on any kind of list. We are not going to share your name and your donation with anybody else.
Yeah, unless we don't raise enough money and have to sell everyone's names.
Right.
Which would be a whole another issue.
And if somebody wanted to just put in $75,000 right now, I'll just do more stand-up.
Exactly. Oh, it's going. It's going.
Wow, this is incredible. You know, the hotter it gets in here, the more clothing I'm going to take off. So I don't know if that's a deterrent or not.
How is it working? If you want to make a donation and this is not working for you, just we've got a hand up in the back.
Hand up in the back.
We have a hand up in the back.
Table 15. Yes.
Is that a question? Or you're donating? I love that.
This is wonderful.
This is great. Oh. Something for the tip jar.
Seriously.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I can't read under my glasses.
This is $1,000.
Thank you. Put it right in that tip. We got it in the tip jar.
From Marvin Wolf, attorney at law. That's 1 hour. Thank you so much. I thought it was going to be 75. I got very excited.
Whatever.
Okay, you can choose. I know.
So who else wants to at least stand up and say what they're bidding to get the room going and bidding?
You can choose to get an invoice, or you can complete payment tonight by entering your credit card information. And the iPad people will also be happy to process your donation now or on your way out.
But this is doing great. We want everyone to keep going. Marty, do you want to come back up and tell us more about the new building? To get people excited? What? I couldn't hear him.
Some of you have figured this out. Thank you so much for your donations. We are almost, wait, I'm not good at math.
We're getting there.
Are we almost there? Halfway? I'm not good at math.
So what else? What else have you been working on? What are you doing?
So I run a show in Studio City once a month called Locally Grown Comedy.
Very nice.
It's the last Tuesday of every month. You said you might come down and check it out.
I might come down and check the whole thing out. It'd be great.
I have Kevin Nealon and Russell Peters this month, so May 30th. Yes, please come. Locally Grown Comedy at Vitello's.
So what else can we do to make this all more? Oh, we got a hand. We got a hand
We
right here.
have a hand.
We've got another hand.
I'm sorry I said the F word, young man. I spelled it with a PH and an asterisk.
You've heard it before, haven't you? There you go. Throw the brother right under the bus. That's the way to do it.
So now that we've registered, and by the way, if you prefer not to use your phone, there are other ways you can donate, as we've told you. Someone can go around old school with a piece of paper and a pledge form. So let's start with a show of hands. Does anyone want to donate $75,000? I think I see a hand, or are you giving me the finger?
We'll take payments. Anyone? Well, you can just tell some more jokes.
How about $74,000? What? Oh, read some of the names. Okay, this is fantastic.
Well, we're up to 41, which is fantastic.
Wow.
Okay, we were just given information that if we raise 75, it will be matched in a challenge grant of another 75,000.
So no matter what you donate, it's going to help. It could be $5.
So
It could be.
let's try and hit that 75 mark so we can double our money tonight. What the work that Didi Hirsch does is so amazing. I did get a chance to tour the Suicide Prevention Hotline Center, and it was so phenomenal to me, the care and the love and the time and the effort that is put in to helping other people. And if you've never had a chance to go down and see the center, you must. It is life-changing. What also would be life-changing is a $25,000 donation. Oh, we got another check for our tip jar. Oh,
We got a $200 check from Noah Fury and Amy Fury. Thank you so much.
did we really
And
just,
$20.
did we just get a 20?
That was
love
what I
that.
found in the tip jar at Starbucks.
Nadine Schiff, 500. Thank you, Nadine.
I know someone here is itching to make this thermometer go
What's
up
her- what's
all
it
the
say?
way. Would anybody like to donate $15,000? Is that a yes?
Once we get closer to 50, we'll start. Okay. Here we go. Alan and Jerry
$15,000.
$1,000.
How much?
$1,000
Wow.
from the Greenbergs. You know, the Greenbergs
The
are
Greenbergs
givers.
gave it $15,000 pays for a year's worth of support for at-risk teens with mental health challenges.
Okay, we are now at 55. Does anyone want to step up and take us over the top? Anyone? Well, you can keep bidding all through the evening. The challenge grant will stay open. Let's hope we hit it and can announce that by the end of the evening.
We're going to.
We're going to. We're
I
at
know
57,
we are.
which is fantastic. Thank you, everyone, so much for opening your hearts and your wallets tonight.
$1,000 can provide support for people who have attempted suicide so they can be in a support group. That's $5,000.
Right. But they were saying, let's move on with the
Oh,
program.
let's move on with the program.
But thank you
okay.
everyone so much. The bidding
You
is still
are amazing.
open.
Thank you
Please
so
keep
much for your
giving.
support. We love every one of you. Thank you very much. I'll leave that there in case you feel like donating later. Thank
and
you.
The bidding will be going for a couple of days. So if you don't feel like giving tonight, but you go home and you sleep on it, and the guilt gets to you, not that I know anything about guilt, being a Jew, you know about guilt.
I know. Do I look okay?
You look
Melissa?
good.
Okay, thank you.
You can go on and give in, and we were just told that the
Thank
matching
you.
grant will continue. Hopefully we'll reach that 75,000 tonight. Let me hand this off. Okay. Back to the program at hand. Amazing job. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So, can any of you imagine having a manic breakdown after working only a few weeks on a major TV series? Well, that happened to actor Maurice Bernard 24 years ago. And guess what? He still has a job. General Hospital not only kept him, they wove his illness into his role. Later, they addressed genetics and warning signs showing bipolar disorder emerging in his fictional son. Maurice received many acting awards over the years and has gotten a lot of attention for his mental health advocacy, including the Erasing the Stigma Leadership Award in 2002. So, he is here tonight to present that same award to writer-director Paul Dahlia.
I first want to applaud Didi Hirsch for such a great night, beautiful night. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder over 30 years ago when the doctors didn't know what it was. They asked my mom and dad, is he an alcoholic? Is he a drug addict? Well, it could be a virus in the brain and he could die. So they put me in a mental institution for 3 weeks. And I would pray to God why he's putting me through this. I ended up escaping. Actually, I traded my leather jacket for another patient's tennis shoes because I knew I couldn't run with hard shoes. So they let me out for my walk, and I never looked back. And I remember it took a month to finally hear the words, "You're manic depressive." And I felt so happy because at least there was a name. It's still difficult. Sometimes you feel good and you get off your medication, and then you got to suffer the consequences. I've had 3 nervous breakdowns. So the most important thing is you got to stay on your medication. And I got to say, I wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for my wife and my family. Sometimes it's so difficult you feel like you can't go on. So like I said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my wife and my family. When I was asked to present the Leadership Award to Paul Dalio, I jumped at the chance because I saw his movie, and I got to say it's the most accurate depiction of bipolar I've ever seen. And I know it's true because my mom and dad were watching it with me, and halfway through they walked out and they said, "Son, it's too hard to watch." The fact that Touched with Fire is a New York Times critic pick and it's produced by Spike Lee tells you how great it is. Let's take a look.
Hey.
Hi.
Okay?
Yeah.
You know, it's 1 in the morning.
I just wanted to talk.
You call me Luna.
Fire went out last night.
Because my mind moves in tune with the lunar shifts. They call me a lunatic.
Sun burnt on the tip of the
Carly, what's going on?
It's down to the minute the full moon's lit.
going up in flames. I'm just trying to figure out who I am. Even when I go on the medication, I don't feel like myself.
I saw myself involuntarily last night.
Yes,
You
I
can't
know,
keep
but
me
you're
here.
still not allowed
no,
to be released.
no.
This is a hospital. It's for sick people. I'm not sick. I can understand why you'd be here. You look very sick to me. There's no life in your face.
Somewhere.
I go by Luna, my poet's name. You accidentally checked yourself into a mental
For
institution.
just one night.
We of the craft are all crazy. We're not from here, you and me.
Is it true that neither of you thinks you're from this planet?
I don't think it's such a bad thing to feel life with the deepest emotions.
It needs to be treated.
Are we a mistake, Carla?
The closer to each other they moved, the brighter they shined.
I got nothing. It's my honor to present the 2017 Erasing the Stigma Leadership Award to writer, director, composer, Paul Dalio.
It's a huge honor, both because of this foundation and how close its work is to the trauma in my own heart, and because I do think stigma is the single biggest problem that is the root of all other problems in mental health. Everything from the fact that someone who is bipolar doesn't want to get treated, and so they go off their meds and they become suicidal, and then the people who don't want to give money to it because they don't really care about it, so there's no treatment for medication. All of those are just little branches of this deep-seated root of stigma which needs to be uprooted. And so to receive that award from this incredible organization is a huge honor. And I want to thank, first and foremost, the person who made me and anyone who's worth standing up here in a condition defined by emotional extremes. Love is a profound cure. My wife, right over here, she pushed me to do the movie. She was an inspiration behind the movie. She was the producer and cinematographer and gave birth to our first child on the last day of the shoot. I mean, to hold it in that long, that's discipline. I remember on the first day we met at film school, I was coming in, I was shortly out of the hospital. I was like, had this black hood on, blasting rap music in my headphones, like sitting away from everybody. And she's like sitting, you know, with all the students, spreading her little, like, you know, sprinkling fairy dust all over everybody and just kind of, you know, socializing with everybody. And I sit right in front of her and she reaches forward and pulls my hood off, and which was symbolic of what she would do for my whole life. So, I just want to tell 3 quick stories, because 2 of which are part of my story, which are directly impacted by the programs that Didi Hirsch does, and I feel compelled by a deep gratitude to tell those. And the 3rd story is related to the stigma. So the first story actually begins when I first got diagnosed, when I was first bipolar. It actually begins like a 10-minute drive from here at the Standard Hotel in West Hollywood when I first went crazy. And I remember it like a light switch. It was just, and to this day, I'm actually not allowed to check into the Standard Hotel in West Hollywood. I one time managed to order something at their restaurant, and the actor, you know, didn't really give me any strange look, but, you know, in this town, they're really, these actors are, you know, really good at pretending. So the moment it happened was at the end of my days studying at NYU, the screenwriting program. And it was those ages of, you know, college where you're experimenting with a lot of stuff. And it was only shortly into the writing program that I realized that if I smoked marijuana, it would speed up my brain and I would have these sprawling, rapid thoughts. And it was strange to me that, you know, people I knew would rather sit down and, you know, eat Ben & Jerry's and watch South Park. And for some reason, I wanted to go for a run with a voice recorder because my fingers couldn't keep up with my mind, you know, and I'd go and spit these thoughts in. And being someone who is bipolar by nature, you just love the edge and you just want to go closer and closer to the edge. And so, of course, I was like, how far can I take this thing, you know? And so I produced my best writing for the time, you know, and it was the most praised, and I produced the most content. Eventually, I was sleeping like 4 hours a night, and then I went out to get a job in LA with a producer, and I was in the Standard Hotel in Hollywood, in West Hollywood, and I was like halfway through the inhale of this one joint when suddenly it was like a lightning bolt to my brain. My mind lit up, my eyes opened, and every man-made meaning of every object around me vanished, and in their place came flooding layers and layers of timeless mythic meanings that reoccur across every mythology and religion, pulsing in front of my eyes. And my eyes kept interweaving their meanings, and naturally when I went through the street, those intermeaning of weavings led to the delusion of the apocalypse, which now, if you look deeper into the meanings of things, it's not really that far-fetched. I mean, it's not, but at the time, it was considered a little crazy. So this, of course, escalated to where I was suddenly a character in the apocalypse. Now, Joseph Campbell, I don't know if any of you know who Joseph Campbell is, but he did a study on psychosis and shamanism, where he studied psychotics and studied shamans, and he was describing how they are experiencing the exact same thing, that heightened state of the mythic realm, but that the shaman can distance themselves from the actual mania and swim in the waters of the unconscious, where they don't personally identify it and they see it as a symbol. So where a shaman will say, okay, the apocalypse is this cycle of life, death, rebirth, and and you're a part of it, but everyone's a part of it. I was a psychotic. I was not a shaman. I was drowning in this completely, and I thought I was the Antichrist, and this was the apocalypse, and I thought they were going to sacrifice me in this glass case that was in the Standard Hotel in West Hollywood. And so I picked up this steel case, and I apologized to the guy at the front desk. I'm like, I'm really sorry I have to do this. But then I picked up the steel case, and I threw it at the glass case, and they tackled me to the ground, and they took me to the jail. And, of course, I was cursing at all the cops because I thought that they were part of this big conspiracy, and they were going to sacrifice me in the jail. And the cops didn't take it so well. And they sent me to this place called, they brought me the next morning in the car, and they were speaking in alien language. And they were like, oh yeah, we're aliens, from outer space, and they were like pointing out other aliens in the street. They took me to this place. I didn't know what it was, but they go, don't worry, this is all just a game. And they let me into the Twin Towers, which is rated one of the 10 worst correctional facilities in the country, medical facility as well. And I go in there, and at first I took their word for it. I was like, oh, this is just a game. Okay, so this is part of their initiation of like the Antichrist thing. And I go in there, and I'm with these people who are the most sensitive, sweet people. And we all were sharing each other's delusions. And they were all just lost in the same thing. And I'd be like, oh, you're that character in the Bible? Like, sharing quotes, like, oh yeah, I'm this one. In some certain cases, both people thought they were the same character, which was, they'd have to work it out. But usually it was through like, you go through, you literally speak in mythic code and terms, and you test who was higher in knowledge. And the one who was higher, at breakfast, you give them an egg, because egg was a symbol of creation. And you'd open the yolk, because the yolk was the sun, which was the origin of all creation. And this is how all of us saw this egg. So to other people's eyes, we would look like these totally crazy people, but we were experiencing something special. And this is everyone I met in the Twin Towers. The abuse was from the guards. The guards enjoyed abusing. There wasn't one time I saw them abuse without a smile. There was one guy, he was handcuffed to the chair, down at the, and he was saying, like, water, water, water. I mean, like, he looked like he hadn't drunk in a while. And so I went and I got him to the water fountain, water, and the guard said, you want to join him? And so I ignored the guy, and I went to give him the water, and he handcuffed me right next to him, and handcuffed it so it was like I mean, my hand turned black and blue like an hour later. Still, when it was cut off, I couldn't feel it. They put me in solitary confinement because I was causing trouble. There was like a steel bed, and they wouldn't feed me if I didn't take the meds. They were abusive. I didn't realize that when they put me in there, somehow they made my vandalism charge an assault charge. So I wasn't throwing it at anybody. I was just in panic and terror from what I was experiencing at the time. But when I think about the fact that I was charged with assault, and I was supposed to be in there for 6 months and let out, and when they set my court date, I wonder about how many of the criminally insane were in a similar situation where they were misunderstood for being in complete terror about what they were experiencing, and the people around them manipulated that. Now, because everyone I met in that place was super sensitive, but if you could read about that place, the Twin Towers, people die there all the time. So I have to say that while I managed to leave 10 days later and got transferred to a regular hospital, I was lucky, because these people, when they leave that hospital, that prison is summer camp compared to depression. And when you don't have anything to go out to but the hell of the mind, but thanks to Didi Hirsch, if it weren't for the services that they did with the prisoners, leaving these prisons, they wouldn't have anybody. So that's the first story that I want to thank Didi Hirsch for. Sorry, my mouth is trying. I talked very passionate about this stuff. I don't know if any of you guys saw The Big Lebowski, but you know Walter Sobchak, who just like cannot stop talking about Vietnam? It's kind of like me with bipolar, so this is a great opportunity for me, actually. But the next one has to do with suicide. So when you go to, oh, thank you. When you go to depression, you spend as much time as possible sleeping because you want to escape the reality that you're in. And when you wake up, the little energy your mind has is spent fighting the temptation of suicide. And so it was, you know, for me, like I wouldn't want to burn at anybody, you know, with these thoughts. The one person that I knew who could take it was my father. Because it was too overwhelming for any friends. It was too overwhelming for my mother. I just knew it. And so I would talk to him nonstop. And I would be trying to convince him that this is why I have to do this. So he was, thank God, willing to take it. He said, you know, you really have to go get a job and get out of the house, you know, and he was right, because these thoughts would just fester, you know. So I went and I got this job in construction, which was nice because it helps you keep your mind off of the suicide, because, you know, you're just focusing on the task at hand and you're just kind of, you know. But I remember the time that I was sawing a piece of wood and I was trying to keep my mind on the task at hand, but it kept repeating in my mind the thought, it's never going to get better than this. It's never going to get better than this. And I just saw my hand moving closer and closer to the saw, and I just felt if I just pushed it through, it would be all over. And I just put down the saw, went and I called my father and I said, that's it. I've decided you can't stop me. I'm just calling to say one last goodbye. And I just want to reassure you, if you knew what it was like, you would not want me to stick around. He came running from his work, and he was trying to get to the bottom of it. And he was like, what happened? Why today? What? And I was trying to think about what was it today. And I happened to be going on a like I usually do, looking for answers. I was going on this website, and there was this study that was so bleak about what my possible future was like. And he looked at the study, he goes, show it to me. And I looked at it, and it was a study of 12 people. And it was that one thing that was going to push me over. And I just want to say this because of how many people at Didi Hirsch know exactly what to say and are willing to talk and are willing to guide it over. I mean, the psyche of someone who's depressed is like this little feather that's floating in the air, and the wrong set of lips can send it this way, the right set of lips can send it that way, and your whole fate will depend on. I wouldn't be here making this movie with a wife with 2 kids if it weren't for me having just one voice explaining that website to me, and just talking through it. And the last thing I want to just talk about is the stigma. And the story is basically, yesterday, they had me sit at a round table, and they asked every one of the people at the round table, what was the most disturbing experience with stigma? And I thought, and it was just so clear and it was obvious, it was the moment that I received that pamphlet in my hand for the first time, when I was sitting in the hospital for the first time, and I just had been certain I saw a vision from God. I was seeing the same sky that Van Gogh saw outside of his sanitarium window, and I was like, wow, I was touched with the vision. And they tell you, no, there was no vision in that. There was nothing. All that was a genetic defect, bipolar disorder, and you are going to have it for the rest of your life. If you're not going to be the same. If you take the medication, you can live a reasonably normal life. If you go off the meds, you will probably fall in the 1 in 4 suicide statistic. Reasonably normal life is the only thing I could find in any pamphlet anywhere. It wasn't until I came across Kay Jamison's book, Touch with Fire, which was illustrated, it was the first time I saw this thing not clinical. It wasn't a disorder, it was touched with fire. It was illustrated like a painting, it was written like poetry, and it was talking about all these great artists that had it. And I felt like I was a part of something special. I never thought of it that way. Now, that for a while led to a romanticization of it, because I didn't know I could have, both. So I would go off the meds, but eventually, I resigned to living on the meds, but I tell my doctor, just introduce me to one person who's happy on meds with bipolar. He happened to know her. I met her, and when she said, you could be happy on meds, that there isn't one artist I know who's not more creative after bipolar than before bipolar, as long as they're on the meds, which is basically saying they're creative because of their bipolar. That bipolar, these people made it a gift. And the reason I say that is because so long as this is just a disorder, so long as this is just an illness, the stigma will always remain, because the human spirit's not satisfied with being pitied. The human spirit needs more. And we're in this place where it's like we're in this dark sky where there's these little flies festering in the shadows. And all it takes is a few flies to just come out, and put their lights on, and these wincing eyes that see these flies like festering in the shadows suddenly see, ooh, there's that one. And then that one, and suddenly these fireflies light up the sky and they say, wow, these are the people who brought all this magic into my life. These are the 38% Pulitzer Prize winning poets who contribute to almost 1/3 of the human spirit, even though they're labeled a human disorder. If that changes, where every one of those flies wants to put their light on and be a firefly and light up that sky, only when everyone wants to be a part of that sky, because they see these wincing eyes suddenly admiring the magic of that sky, only then will there be the stigma erased. So thank you, Didi Hirsch.
Well, we have a very exciting announcement. As of right now, we have raised $76,987 and climbing. And we'd like to ask everybody who donated tonight to please stand up and give yourselves a pat on the back and a nice round of applause. So thank you, everyone. That's amazing. Okay, thank you, Paul. That was really moving. Let's discuss Nancy Rubin. She is Wonder Woman, and I don't mean she wears a crown and a magic bracelet, but I did hear she sometimes wears a crown just around the house just because it looks good. I'm sure she could pull the whole look off. I mean, there is nothing she can't do. As you may know, Nancy is one of Didi Hirsch's daughters. As you may not know, she's also a former ambassador to the UN Commission on Human Rights. To Nancy, access to mental health care is a human right, as essential as food, shelter, and as important as liberty and justice. She's also deeply involved in women's rights and social justice. She has served on the Women's Refugee Commission and leads efforts to end discrimination against women. If I told you everything else, we'd never get out of here. And I am talking about we'd be here for days and days and days. Please welcome probably one of the most glamorous women I have ever met, Nancy Hirsch Rubin.
Oh, the voice within Judy Collins. For over 50 years, her amazing grace in music, activism, and honest storytelling has touched us all. Her life is a magnificent testimony to overcoming personal adversity of discrimination, addiction, depression, and the heartbreak of a son's suicide. And also to changing our norms by breaking the barriers of shame and silence. No one speaks for Judy like her soul-touching music.
So much, Nancy. Rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air, feathered canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, and now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, up and down, and still somehow it's clouds illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel when every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, and now it's just another show. You leave them laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, give and take, and still somehow it's love delusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way, and now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads and say I've changed. Well, something's lost, but something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life. I really don't know life at all. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I want to say I'm thrilled to be here. Actually, nowadays I have to say I'm thrilled to be almost anywhere. I really, but you are, I'm so honored to be here. And I'm so grateful that I can be, and that the Didi Hirsch Foundation has seen fit to recognize it's not just me, it's just all of us, and what we do to stay on the planet, and the things that we have to go through, and the advocacy that we have to live in our lives, and the help that Didi Hirsch gives is just, it's priceless. I just want you to know that. I am very grateful to be here, and thank you. I want you to know you're looking at the American Idol of 1956. And also, I've been doing this for how long now? God, Well, oh my. So 58 years, yes. It is, of course. It is, of course, the second oldest profession in the world, and for that I'm very grateful. Of course, I did come from a dysfunctional family. That's a family that has, any family that has any more than one person in it. And, or as Joan Rivers, and Joan Rivers saved my life, I just have to say. And she and I were talking one day, and she said, well, your dysfunctional family has nothing on mine. I knew I was an unwanted child when my bath toys were a toaster and a hairdryer, so. I love you, Melissa. There's a young man that I know, his age is 21, comes from down in southern Colorado. He's just out of the service and is looking for his fun someday soon. I'm going with him someday soon. My parents, they can't stand him 'cause he works the rodeo. My father says that he will leave me crying, but I would follow him right down the toughest road I know. Someday soon, I'm going with him someday soon. Oh, when he comes to call my pa, he ain't got a good word to say. I guess it's 'cause he was just as wild in his younger days. So blow you old blue norther, blow my love to me. He's driving in tonight from California. He loves that damned old rodeo just as much as he loves me. Someday soon, I'm going with him someday soon. Play a little Russell. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Mr. Russell Walden. Well, I guess it's 'cause he was just as wild in his younger days. So blow you old blue norther, blow my love to me. He's driving in tonight from California. He loves that damned old rodeo just as much as he loves me. Someday soon, I'm going with him someday, someday, someday soon. You know I'm going with him someday soon. Thank you so much. Well, I thought I would sing this song for you, with you. I didn't know when I recorded this song in 19-something I didn't know the story of where it came from. And of course, it was a mental health story, basically, because the man who wrote it was a terribly dysfunctional, unhappy, probably mentally ill, probably alcoholic, probably depressed, and he had a life-changing experience in which he stopped being a slave ship captain and became a writer of hymns and devoted to the issue of abolition. This was in England in the 18th century, And he became the inspiration for Wilberforce, who was the man who pursued the bill in Parliament to outlaw the slave trade in England. It happened in 1806. But in the years previous, it had taken Wilberforce 20 years to accomplish that. And he used to go to Olney, where John Newton lived, and talk to him about spiritual things and about a different life and about values. And so this is the song that John Newton wrote. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. I'd like to have you join me and sing that song together. You could sing the melody or the harmony or another song altogether, since it is the spirit that counts. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far. Was grace that brought us safe thus far. And grace will lead us home. Amazing grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Thank you so much.
Our national treasure. Where are you? Thank you for the beauty of your voice and the power of it in so many dimensions. We are beyond proud to present you with the B. Stern Award for Media. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We honor you dearly. Thank you so much. Did you just do a picture? Oh, sure, of course. Thank you. And I wanted to say, and this is what somebody said it looks like. Why?
And this is what 77 looks like, Nancy was going to say.
Thank you to Judy, thank you to all our honorees, and thanks to all of you for helping to erase stigma. Please be sure to pick up your gift bags. Don't want to forget those. And if you need help paying your pledges tonight, see one of the iPad people on your way out. Thank you all again. Good night.